breakout player-wise, Jared Wiley, a guy that Tom Herman just refused to play. I don't know why. I think he's a freak athlete. He's big, he's tall, he's fast. And I believe Sarkisian will utilize the tight ends much better than Tom Herman did. Like Jared Wiley said, I think a couple days ago, he said, we're not just a check down option anymore. We're here for big splash plays, and hopefully that's true. And that's probably my biggest breakout player on the offensive side of the ball. I'd say on the defensive side of the ball, Byron Murphy. I mean, from everything I've heard out of camp, that guy's just dominating. He's a grown man. He looks like a grown man. He's huge. And he's a defensive tackle. And we really need – I'm hoping we can get pressure with 3 guys up front this year, because if we can drop 8, we can get pressure with 3. I think you're going to see a lot of turnovers. We got a lot of explosive athletes. I think we got a lot of or a couple potential first-round picks on defense, including DeMarvion Overshown. I think everyone knows who that is. And I'm just excited for the season.
Sam Kim again. I don't know what that question is. It's a weird question there. Has Sark developed any quarterback prospect to the NFL in his career? If the answer is no, then that prospect ain't good for Texas.
Jake Locker.
Mac Jones.
Yeah, the list goes on and on and on. Okay. All right. Thank you, Sam. We appreciate that wonderful question there. So I'm gonna go. My breakout player is Moro Ojomo. He's probably going to be your starting defensive tackle, probably next to Keandre Coburn, number 98. I've said this, and I'm not going to go away from it. This guy could have been a 5-star if he was 18 years old, coming out in the class that he came out in. He was 247 put out an article when he came out as a recruit that he was the best 17-year-old football player in the country, and he came to the university as a 17-year-old. He is 19-year-old junior at the University of Texas this year. I think he's coming into his own. I think he's matured. Obviously, coming in 17 years old, you still have that maturity that you got to get. He come from a perennial program of Katy High School there in the Houston area. But this guy, you wait for him. Joseph Asai had just like a rocket launch up draft boards last year. I think you're going to see the same thing from Moro Ojomo on the defensive line this year, which is probably our position of strength if you look at the Texas program. I'm going to tell you, biggest storyline, defensive backs. We have a lot of experience back there. I think we got a lot of good. We got a few good players back there. I'm not going to say great right now. They got to play to their potential, but we ranked 108th in the country last year. As far as in the country, I probably stole Jeremy's piece of pie there. 108th in the country. We got get better than 108th, and I think we were 9th in the Big 12. I'm sorry about that, Jeremy. It's up there on my screen here. It's the first thing that popped out.
So these guys gave you breakout players. I was going to give you areas of improvement that we need to maximize what we talked about earlier, and that's our potential. And that's consistency with the wide receiver group. Again, these guys talked about it. Bijan Robinson, he's going to get 20 to 30 carries. He's a Heisman Trophy candidate, Maxwell Award watch guy, Doak Walker Award watch guy, and he's everything that he's cracked up to be. That is our offensive line strength, is the run block game. So that's where we need to get better, is in our pass protection and our consistency with our wide receivers. And again, Clint stole my thunder. Our front seven is solid. These guys talked about Coburn, Ojomo, Jones, and all that they bring. Jeff Choates talked about his linebacker core led by DeMarvion Overshown, but we were the 109th worst ranked pass defense in the country. In the Big 12, we had the number 2 rush defense and the number 9 pass defense. That's where we need to improve. We need to improve in our consistency with our wide receiver core, our pass blocking ability with our offensive line, and the coverage skills of our defensive backs. If we can fix those 3 things, I think all the other facets of our team are better than average, above average. So we'll see where we go. But that would be my area of concentration over the last 14 days as we get ready for Louisiana.
Okay, Mark, can I look at this comment here, and can I comment on this comment
Absolutely.
down here? Okay, so I think Thompson, because the O-line is suspect again. I think Casey Thompson's hell of a quarterback. I think he can go in there and do great things as the quarterback at the University of Texas. But you can't take away from Hudson Card being a 4-5 guy, dual threat quarterback, the second ranked dual threat quarterback behind Bryce Young. Bryce Young to Alabama, coming out of his class in 2020. It's crazy how people forget these things, right? But at the same time, if you have a bad O-line, you got to make decisions faster, and you got to be able to know that your wide receiver is going to be in a specific spot at the right time. And I think that what I've seen from Hudson Card is that Hudson Card can identify where's wide receivers are going to be at, throw the ball before they actually make their move. And I think that's where the separation is for me right now. I didn't see that from Casey Thompson in the spring game like I did from Hudson Card. But if you think that Hudson Card can't sit back there and be athletic enough to be work around to what a bad offensive line, I think we're making a mistake. Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
And I would challenge you to go back and watch his huddle film from Lake Travis. Lake Travis is a formidable 6A program here in the state of Texas. He's playing formidable high school opponents at the highest level, and you watch his speed. He has the ability to tuck the ball in and take off with 4.5 speed. So, yeah, if you think Casey Thompson's mobility is that much better because that's what you're referencing, go back and watch Hudson Card's film from Lake Travis. It'll change your mind.
I can't find the word anticipation, but if you go back, it's all about anticipation. And for some reason that word is, I couldn't think of it the last two times I wanted to have the conversation about Hudson Card, but it comes back to him being able to anticipate what those wide receivers are going to do before they do it. That's what it's all about for me.
Well, yeah, just an example in the spring game is on that out route, the Casey Thompson throw, and then got taken for pick 6. He was late on that. Card wasn't late on that the couple times he threw it. And then also, is there a record you guys feel like where we feel like we got the wrong guy? Or is that even possible? Is your like a 6-6 type record? Do you feel like we're going down the wrong track again?
You talking about coach? Or are you talking about
coach?
Again, I think that's where we've gotten ourselves in trouble. I don't think 6-6 is like I think the bottom is 8-4. I don't think 6-6 is actually, again, if you're looking at on paper and you trust that these coaches can develop the way we think they can develop, 6-6 isn't even in my equation. It's not even my thought process.
No, I agree. I think we're going to be somewhere between 8-4 and 10-2, in my opinion. But
that's where me and Clint are. We're 10-2. We think this coaching staff can win the games they're supposed to win, and they're supposed to win every game except Oklahoma and Iowa State. And so you win the games you're supposed to win, and that's probably the ceiling and the floor for me is 10-2, because you can't continue to lose to TCU, Iowa State. But again, if we find ourselves going down that record of 8-4, 7-5, we can't be so quick to throw people out of here. Again, these aren't their players. They didn't get a chance to turn over this roster. They haven't even had one recruiting class. They haven't played one football game yet. So, and that's what we saw with recruiting, is when you were getting guys that were going to A&M or getting guys that were going to Oklahoma and they weren't choosing Texas. Everybody's like, why is that happening? Because you haven't competed at the same level as A&M and Oklahoma and Alabama and Ohio State over the last 10 years. So why would you think that Bryce Anderson is just going to come to your school just because Austin's a great place to live? It's the same thing with the record. Like, you got to be patient with these coaches.
Yeah, but I think at the same time, I think the record is going to affect your recruiting going into not just finishing this class, but going into the next class. So I think you're right, Matthew. I think 8-4 is probably 8-4 is probably where we don't want to be at. I think 10-2 is a possibility, somewhere between 8-4 and 10-2. So if Texas finished 9-3 and they beat the teams they were supposed to, and had maybe one loss. I think that's a hell of a season. So
the national pollsters in Vegas seems to think that 8-4 is pretty much the mark. If you look at it that way, number 19 in the country, that's pretty much 8-4 territory. Not that they know what they're talking about necessarily, but Vegas typically hits those numbers fairly well. Don't know what the over-under is there. Is it 8? I think it's dead even on 8. I believe is what Vegas has for an over-under.
A week ago, it was 7.5.
There you go. Texas football talk. There's no way you can get anything misconstrued from that. You head on over there for Texas football talk, and it's excellent, as it has been for the last 65 or 70 minutes here at the Voice of College Football. So catch up with Jeremy and Clint at Texas football talk. Matthew, thanks you so much for joining us as well. I got to run, but guys, you are welcome anytime, and continued success on your YouTube channel.